Hello again. This is an update on the bond work for Carbon School District. This is regarding the transportation move. Transportation move is part of the bond that was passed in 2019, and the budget for that is $3 million, 8.3% of the bond. As far as the overall picture goes, we're looking at this little blue slice here, moving the transportation department, and in order to develop new parking at Carbon High School. So the development of the project, there were several options that were considered. One of the options was to convert one building at the current transportation location into a warehouse, and that would have been where the mechanics work right now, and then convert the current warehouse into a bus garage. Conversions and remodels of old facilities can be expensive, and there were some costs that were brought to our attention that we hadn't thought of. These were brought to our attention by the architect firm. So one of those has to do with the removal of some X-beams and reworking of the walls in order to support the kinds of doors and wide access that buses would need to be able to pull through the building. So if we were to do that at the warehouse, that becomes a big problem. Filling in the entire west side exterior to bring that up to level is also an additional cost. There were concerns about the concrete, that it was not poured, potentially, it wasn't poured for the purpose. It definitely wasn't poured for the purpose of regularly holding the weight of buses. So there was a concern about the ability of the floor to handle, especially after modifications to the concrete floor would need to be made in order to facilitate the drainage of fluid. Disassembling the huge freezers and refrigerator units is also a problem. Remodeling the old or current garage to create a dock and other features, that's additional cost. Keeping the current garage as a warehouse also limits the addition of parking spaces at Carbon High School. So let me explain what that looks like. This is pictures from the interior of the warehouse, and as you can see, we have these tiny little doors for receiving deliveries, but this is nowhere near what you would need to be able to pull buses through, so it would require some significant adjustments. This is the X that was talked about. You can see that this facility was built not so that we could have buses coming in and out through the side here or through here, so significant modifications would need to be made to be able to insert the doors and everything that would be needed. So the concrete floor, as was mentioned earlier, there was some concern that maybe it wasn't poured for that specifications that are needed, but there's also drainage issues, and so this floor would need to be reworked and grooves would need to be made into it to be able to have the fluids flow where we needed them to flow and not create a mess. This is a picture of where we would need to bring in dirt, and it would probably start around here and flow all the way down. We need to figure out how to level all of this so that vehicles could come through if we were to pull them through that direction. These are humongous freezers. They are so big. This is the inside of one of the freezers, and then this is the outside of another one. This is the biggest one, and it costs many thousands of dollars to take these apart and put them back together, and to have it done, by people who know what they're doing. There's also one large cooler, so 3 freezers humongous ones and one large cooler, and you know, the prospect of the expense to move those, disassemble them, reassemble them, and the potential of their new home maybe not quite fitting was also a concern. This is depicting where potentially we would need to put a dock. So this facility at the transportation department is the current garage, and it would need to be reworked in order to be able to use that for warehouse. Again, freezers and everything would need to fit in here, which would not leave much room for other storage. Dock would need to be created, and we would lose all of that additional parking at the high school. So there is a second option that was considered, and that was to purchase a facility somewhere in the area. Problem with that is you still have all the additional costs of moving the huge freezers and everything, but the cost of purchasing the property is on top of that, and finding that type of property that would fit is the probability is low. So we considered a third option, and that was to construct a steel frame, low cost building for the bus garage. This, according to our experts, is the most cost effective option. It keeps costs of the total project to where we will meet that $3 million mark. There's no cost for remodeling. All necessary specifications can be met. There's no disassembling of the freezers. We don't have to wonder about whether the concrete and fluid drainage is going to work or anything like that. The cost is in constructing that new facility, but all of those other additional costs don't exist with this option. So that's the one that we are following. This is the current warehouse. Just north of the warehouse is the site where a new facility would be constructed, with the idea that buses would be able to pull around here and then in through this way and out as needed. This is an updated drawing of the facility. We have one office and bathroom, mostly storage for air filters and things like that. We have one bay for painting, and then we have these bays here are to do the mechanic work. We can work on 6 buses at a time under this layout, and right here is a cleaning station. So it's a place where we can pull buses in and quickly rinse them off and wash them without impacting or having water splash and get over into this area, which has been a problem in the past for us. As far as the rest of the location, there is right now an updated drawing which shows that the greenhouse is gone, and there will be a connection all the way from here into this area. Buses will park here, bus drivers can park their cars here, and there will be a row of outlets that will allow for the buses to be plugged in, which is necessary in the cold months. There will be a one-way traffic. Traffic will come in here. The entrance will be up here. Exit will be here. This will be only an exit. The over here on the main entrance will be an entrance and an exit over there. Now, in order to finish this whole project, we have the transportation office, where currently it's in the same building as the transportation garage, the bus garage, and that's currently being worked on as approved by the board in the capital outlay projects. This is the simple layout. People will be able to enter in right here: secretary, transportation director, and then an area for example, boxes, communication. This is what it looked like yesterday as I just ran down and took a quick picture. Things are taking shape. It's happening pretty quickly. It is coming in as a pretty low cost adjustment. Again, this is simplified and unofficial. That's my disclaimer. Things change based on what we run into, but our understanding right now is that design has been happening and is continuing with the final touches being made right now. Transportation office is being constructed right now. In May, we will move the transportation office over, and the bid for the bus garage and the bus parking adjustments, that electrical part, will take place in May, with construction beginning late May, early June. So that's the timeline. Again, this is the aspect of the plan that is the 8.3%, this little light blue area.